you think you know what to expect, but you have no idea what to expect. You've never, ever in your life come across a fighter or a person like me. So that fantasy you have in your head, it's literally only going to live right here and it's going to die right here.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Excuse me, my name is Nate Freeman. I'm joined today by Kendra McIntyre, who is fighting on LFA 165 this Friday, August 18th. Kendra, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fantastic. Can't complain. So let's get right into it. You are making your second professional MMA fight on Friday against someone who's really a well-known name in the LFA space, in Alandria, formerly Brown, now Alandria Rosales. Talk to me about how this opportunity came about.
Yeah, apparently LFA reached out to both me and my manager, and they really wanted me to be on their card, which was great because I also really wanted to fight for LFA. They just thought I was a super entertaining fighter, and they're correct in thinking so. So they presented us a few people, and Alandria was one of those people, and we thought it was a really good match.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting stylistic matchup, and it should be really exciting. Two exciting fighters going head to head. So I know that you've done game planning and all of that. Talk to me about what you see in her as an opponent and maybe some strengths and weaknesses that you see in her that you would look to exploit.
Yeah, I think that she had a lot of success with the working against the cage. She calls herself a catch wrestler, but it's very Greco-Roman upper body, trips to the legs, tries to take the back and go for the finish there. She's had success with that multiple times, especially her last fight was, I think, a Taekwondo girl, where, again, she used that same strategy to finish the girl, I think, in the first round. So there probably is this expectation in her mind that the fight against me is going to go, she's going to have this probably likely the same game plan, right? She wants to put me against the cage. She wants to trip me up and take my back and get a finish. But her style of wrestling, I don't think is going to work well against me. I think it's going to be a very dangerous game for her just because of the fact that I have 11 years of Greco-Roman style wrestling and Thai clinching, and it's a very lethal place for me. I like to be in that place. I'm very hard to trip up. And the thing is, when you're so hyper focused on something and you want that really bad, that's just going to create opportunities for me because I'm lethal everywhere. And she's only looking for that one thing.
Yeah. So you just made your professional MMA debut earlier this year at Invicta, getting a win over Diana Sanchez. After a very decorated career in Muay Thai, 5-time champion. And obviously, I think everybody who signs to fight you is going to think that that's your sort of base and game plan. But I know that you've been working in jiu-jitsu tournaments. You just got your first stripe as a blue belt. So talk to me about some of the work that you've been doing on the ground and some of the work that you've been doing to even out your game.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. I definitely put a lot of work into my ground game. I'm not as far behind or, grappling illiterate as people think I am. I'm not even sure that Alandria is a better grappler than me. I definitely don't think she's a better wrestler than me. I'm a very good wrestler, especially Greco-Roman style wrestler. I just don't see her being a stronger wrestler than me. She might out-edge me in the jiu-jitsu, but I'm not too sure.
Okay, yeah, that's she's competed in some combat jiu-jitsu tournaments and things like that. So to fans, at least, and people on the outside, they would give her the edge. But like you said, you've been working, trying to make sure that you're ready to go in that department.
I've done so many tournaments. I don't know that she's done more tournaments than I have. Like, I've done a plethora of BJJ tournaments. I've competed in ADCC. So I'm not. Again, I do think for the fans, it's more about familiarity. They're more familiar with Alandria and what she's accomplished, and they don't really know who I am, so they're probably more comfortable with that bet. but it's like out of like being naive or ignorant, I would say.
Well, along those lines, you said that people are more familiar with Alandria. What do you want fans to know about you, both, I guess, personally, and then in terms of your fight style?
Yeah, I would think I would want people to know that I'm a threat everywhere, that I'm pretty lethal, and there's no safe space for you. There's no safe space on the ground. There's no safe space on the feet. You're just not safe when you step in a cage with me. I think my mindset is a little bit different. My desires, my hunger, my belief in where I'm going. I think Alandria, she loves jujitsu. She's passionate about it. She wants to be an LFA champ, but I think I'm so much more than that. There's so much more in me. I don't think we are, as people in our directions, I don't think we're on the same path.
All right. Yeah, that's great. So like I mentioned earlier, you made your MMA debut a couple months ago. Talk to me about your experience in that debut. What were some things that you learned in your first MMA fight? And what have you been working on as a result of that in between then and now?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that fight was presented to me on 7 days' notice, and I really wanted to get my foot in the door, so I happily took it. In that fight, I thought that I knew she also had the same. She's like Alandria, except she's more freestyle, so she would shoot for my knees. And so I was pinned up against the cage, and she wanted to take my back. I wasn't too stressed about it because I knew, because of the tie clinch, I knew how to maneuver in that wrestling arm way. However, when I was against the cage, it actually took me a lot longer than I thought. So that was really humbling because I thought I would be off the cage in like 2 seconds, but I wasn't, right? I was stuck there for 15 seconds or 20 seconds. So that was really great because so after that fight, my coach, who's actually really good at cage fighting, Cody Donovan, we were just working on how to fight against the cage, the zones and cage fighting, and how to get off the cage, how to keep somebody on the cage, strikes within the cage, like high-low dynamics. So during this camp, I did a lot of wall work.
Yeah, that's one of the forgotten arts, I think, in MMA that people sort of neglect from time to time. So that is really something important. I'm curious about obviously transitioning from Muay Thai to MMA. There's a difference in round length, and not only just from a cardio perspective, going from shorter time to 5 minutes, but also pacing and sort of time management. What were some things that you learned going 5-minute rounds in your professional MMA debut?
It was super tough to tell because I didn't have a camp. I wasn't sparring. I was really just casually training. It was really hard to tell like how I would have been with a full camp. I was so gassed that first Invicta fight, but I feel like stylistically, the game that my opponent played is a style that will gas you. She kept shooting over and over and over and over again for 15 minutes. Like that's just exhausting, even if I was fit. So I think theoretically, right, it's supposed to be a lot harder. I mean, pacing yourself, you have to, you got to take that into consideration. But I've been training at altitude. And I think that, and I've been training 5 minutes at altitude. I've been training hard at high altitude. And then when I go down to sea level, I might feel better than I did my 2-minute rounds in amateur.
Yeah, because I know for a lot of your time as a Muay Thai fighter, you were training at El Nino and part of the Scrap Pack, and now you're up in Denver, like you mentioned, training at altitude. Is there any background that you can explain as to why you made that move?
Yeah, I think during COVID, I think that I felt like at El Nino, I was kind of being pushed out. because of, you know, certain bureaucracies and politics and stuff like that. And I didn't feel super valued, which I mean, I was and I wasn't at the same time, right? It depends on like, I don't think I was valued for who I was. Not like I was valued as a fighter, but as a person, I don't think that they valued me, right? I felt like more like a cash cow. So I made the transition because I knew that there's a lot inside of me, and I know that there's greatness inside of me. And if I stayed where I was, all of that would just die. And I refused to let that die. So I took a leap of faith and I moved to Denver. And it's been great. I made the right decision.
Well, I'm sure that you looked at a lot of different places. What made you choose the gym that you're at now in Denver?
You know, it's so funny. I looked around the Bay. I did, and I just didn't feel like it was a fit. I didn't like, there was nothing wrong with it, but I didn't feel like the people around me shared the same hunger or desires, and that's really important to me. That I want to be around people who also like, this is their dream, this is their life, and they want it. Not people who do it casually. So I just didn't feel like the Bay was it. But in Denver, it was like this mecca where people who had a dream all left home to come to that gym. And my story is just one of 100.
Well, you keep talking about your dream a lot. And obviously, I feel like if you ask any MMA fighter, it's their dream is to work up the ranks and become world champion. But outside of that, what are some dreams that you have for your professional career?
Yeah, I think like more than just being a champion, it's like the impact that you have being a champion, right? And I just hope that I'm impactful to individuals in a really powerful way, where people believe in themselves, people chase the dreams that are put inside of them, and I use my platform to really, it sounds so generic, but really to like help people, you know? Because I think if you're just a champion for yourself, it doesn't really matter. But if you're a champion for people, right, then it actually matters.
I like that a lot. Yeah, that is honestly what the definition of a champion is, I think. Not just being the best in the world, but being the face of the sport for people who are just coming into it and things like that. So I really like that. I'm curious. I know that two of your former Muay Thai opponents, I also worked for USA Muay Thai, and I worked in the World Games 2022, and two members of that team were former opponents of yours. One is Yanette Garcia,
Yeah.
Ashley Thiner. And I know Yanette made her MMA debut back in a couple of months ago for Combate Global. And then Ashley is a champion in two different promotions as an amateur right now. And she's expecting to make her pro MMA debut. I think when I spoke with her last, she's looking at Cage Warriors for that American San Diego sort of offshoot that they have. Are either of those potential opponents that you're interested in fighting down the line in this new sport, or what are you sort of looking at in that regard?
So Yanette, I think she fights at 105, so I don't think we'll ever cross paths again. But
when I saw that y'all fought, I was surprised because I know that she's like tiny, and obviously
so back when I was super young, you know, I was super young and super skinny, and she came off of a surgery and she was super heavy, and that's how we ended up crossing paths.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was like the fight was like 114.
Okay.
So as for, so Yanette's not, well, let me just say this. I'm actually super proud of those girls. I think I'm so proud of the California Muay Thai girls and what they're doing. And it just goes to show like California Muay Thai girls are just so elite that we're just cream of the crop, and that being excellent here, it does translate. So happy about that. As for Ashley, I don't know. Like, I have a feeling that me and her aren't going to cross paths. It's just a feeling. It's just a gut feeling. Cause I just feel like I don't know. I just don't feel like we would cross paths. Not that I'm against it, but I don't think we would for some reason.
No, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I just felt like, just sort of wanted to make that connection and see where your mind was at with that. But let's change gears a little bit and talk about maybe just some, for lack of a better word, maybe some random things that people can get to know you more about. So we'll just do some rapid fire, really quick questions. So one, what is your favorite striking technique?
I don't have one. It's whatever knocks the person out that day.
There you go. That's fair enough. I guess it's going to be a similar answer for this one, but two, what is your favorite either submission or grappling technique?
Yeah, same.
That's perfect. Three, what is your favorite either book or movie or TV show?
Okay, so my favorite movie is Forrest Gump. So wholesome. What was the other one? Favorite?
Either book or TV show.
Oh, my favorite TV show is Naruto, hands down.
Okay. You're an anime girl?
I am.
I've tried getting into that, but I don't know. It's just
when you're older, it's very hard because it's a huge commitment. It's a huge time commitment. So
yeah,
if you watch it as a teenager, like, good luck.
I think that's the problem, is that it's just sort of overwhelming that there's just so much. And I get recommended so much stuff from a lot of different people. And it can be overwhelming at times, I think. But I want to like it. I'll say that. Okay. So then I know that you're, first of all, what is your weight cut looking like right now? You obviously, on 7 days notice in your last fight, fought close to the weight class. And then, but now that you've had a camp, what's your weight cut looking like?
It looks like a good cut. Like, I'm about 124 pounds right now for a 115 fight. So.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't normally, I've been doing this lately, and I don't know whether I should do it or not because people are cutting weight, but I have been asking this question. So when you finish cutting weight, and maybe it's a better question to ask maybe after the fight, after you win and you're celebrating, what is the one food that you're craving?
I am craving Korean barbecue, and I've been telling everybody that. And right after I weigh in, I'm going to my favorite Korean barbecue place of all time.
All right. Yeah, that's a different answer. Normally, the overwhelming majority of the time I get pizza.
I'm not
which is great, but Korean
barbecue like shit.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'd rather pig out on red meat.
Yeah. So then, looking back to when you were just getting started in martial arts, what piece of advice would you give either yourself or anybody who's looking to get started in martial arts or MMA? So
when I started, I was fully convinced. Like, I knew I was going to be like the greatest fighter in the world. Like, I knew it, right? But I had this and I don't think I was wrong. But what I was wrong about was this expectation. And it probably comes from like being in high school where you like go to class and then you graduate and you go to the next grade, right? So I say that to say, I really thought I was just linear. I just like show up every day, get better, fight, and there was no problems. And my life would always look like this. if I could go back and tell myself a piece of advice, I would be like, Kendra, yes, you're supposed to be the greatest fighter of all times, but it's not going to be this linear, straight path of growth. Like, you're going to go through hell and high water. It's going to be windy. It's going to be dark. They're going to be shit. You might not even be training for years. You know what I mean? But that doesn't change shit. It's in you. And keep your chin up. It's just not going to be linear. It's just not going to be easy. So don't feel bad.
Yeah, no, nothing in life's that way. So I think that's really good advice. That, you know, there's going to be bumps along the road, but you know, as long as your mind's on the destination, that's you have that end goal in mind. Just keep going and pushing towards that goal. Okay, so before I let you go, what is your message to Alandria, and what is your message to the fans who are going to be watching you fight on Friday?
I think my message to Alandria would be, you think you know what to expect, but you have no idea what to expect. You've never, ever in your life come across a fighter or a person like me. So that fantasy you have in your head, it's literally only going to live right here, and it's going to die right here. For the fans, I love you guys. I hope that I inspire you. I hope that I impress you. I wow you. I do everything for you. I love you guys. This is for you. Follow your dreams. I'm team you and you're team me, and we just love each other.
I like that. All right. So as we wrap up, I'm going to give you the floor to do any shout outs, to thank any sponsors or anything like that. And then 3, how can people follow you on social media?
Okay. Thank you so much to my coaches.
That may be a lot. So if you need me to break it down a little bit more, then.
No, that's good. Are we go? Right. Should I shout them out now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So I want to shout out my coaches, Cody, Rich for coming through, Sean Madden, thank you for helping me so much, Valor, and especially all the girls. Mallory, you really came through for this camp. Carson, thank you so much. Callie, you were always there. Alicia, I know you got concussed, but you would have been there. Yeah, and I think most importantly, I want to thank God. I want to thank God for this opportunity and this platform, and for blessing me and for being with me through the highs and lows, and for putting amazing people in my life. I think that I want to give the biggest shout out to him.
All right. Well, do you have any sponsors or anything that you want to shout out as well? Or
I have no sponsors. So if you would like to sponsor me, you can hit me up. You can DM me on Instagram, team.kendra. Or yeah.
And you just shouted out your Instagram, and just want people to know that it is private, that you'll have to go through her and get it approved to send that DM. But I got through. So there you go. But all right. This has been Kendra McIntyre. You can catch her fighting at LFA 165 this Friday at August 18th in California. Kendra, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck in your fight.
Thank you so much. This is fun. Thank you.